Screen Scotland is an agency formed out of a partnership of 5 agencies that have come together in Scotland to develop the Scottish film and TV industry. So we do that through a combination of funding of projects, developing talent, developing skills, building up the infrastructure across Scotland and promoting it internationally. And Scotland's really having a moment. So Screen Scotland was born in August of last year with a doubling of the budget. So we now have £20 million to play with across film and TV. So that means a brand new fund for TV and additional funds for film, both for incoming production and for productions that are grown out of Scotland. So that's incredibly important, and I think that the Scottish culture is incredibly important to our government overall, and they really see that in order to stimulate further the growth that they need to put their weight behind it. So we're now in a lovely situation where we have a government that's on side, an industry that's pulling together, and there are things outside of our direct control. So for example, the fact that the broadcasters are being asked to spend more time and money and investment in the nations and regions of the UK, so that's BBC, Channel 4, ITV, all looking more closely at Scotland and what Scotland can deliver. So that's a very exciting opportunity for us to have to play with. Our objectives are very much around building a stronger base of crew and of talent, of these new voices. So it's about how Screen Scotland can facilitate careers through detailed development support, production support, promoting Scotland internationally. So here we are in Berlin with some of my team are here to meet with the international industry and encourage productions into Scotland. And that's not just a case of having incentives, but it's about making the case that Scotland really is one of the most beautiful places on earth, but also somewhere where we have crews that are incredibly can-do, incredibly skilled, obviously working in the English language as well, which can't hurt. Part of the UK offer, which is, I think, very attractive right now to international production. So, those are a number of the ways in which we are much more than simply an agency with some funds to spend. The Wife is an amazing example of a film that came to Scotland, and actually, so many people come to us for our locations and the natural landscapes that we have, and that's an example of a film that actually just needed Scotland to play a different role. We're incredibly proud to have been involved in that film. We're so thrilled for Glenn Close. She deserves everything that she's getting right now in terms of that critical acclaim and audience acclaim for that incredible performance.
Joni, we gotta talk this through.
I can't do it anymore, Joe. I can't do it. I can't take it. I can't take the humiliation of holding your coat and arranging your pills and picking the crumbs out of your beard and being shoved aside with all the other wives to talk about some goddamn shopping trip while you say to all the gathering sycophants that your wife doesn't write.
We've been joking in the office that she's our favourite Scottish Glen. It's just such a joy to be able to show off a country as beautiful as Scotland, and I think I suppose people are surprised by the scale and the variety and the diversity of it, and the fact that, an hour from Edinburgh, you are looking at some of the most breathtaking scenery that you've ever seen in your life, and it's incredibly photogenic, but it's also very, very accessible, and it's very, very diverse. So, you can find moon landings, you can find, vast, volcanic, hills and mountains and lakes and what have you, but within only a few number of miles from architecture that is both of its own self and in the sort of vernacular of Scottish architecture, but that also can double very, very well for New York or any major city. For a small country, it's an incredible place to be making films. So, we know that people, again, would love to come and make films in Scotland if and when they can. We're very lucky in that regard. The way in which good quality stories are born, the way that interesting voices from Scotland are really heard and developed, has to be with the support of the public sector. So that's when you need a government to come on board and take that leap of faith on creative talent that will reap benefits over time. I think the best example I can give you is a filmmaker like David Mackenzie, who's somebody who has been supported by his local film agency, backed by the government over years, and now look at his career. He's made film after film that's now been Oscar nominated in the case of Hell or High Water, and most recently Outlaw King, which is David and his longtime producer Gillian Berry really bringing it home for Scotland with a film that was couldn't have been more Scottish. The story of Robert the Bruce, written out of Scotland, starring Scots for the most part, with the honourable exception of Chris Chris Pine, but backed financially by Netflix, and it was the largest production that Scotland's ever seen. And so, you know, sometimes it can take a while to build a career, but that is a huge benefit to Scotland. It puts Scotland in the eye of the public around the world. It helps tell our stories, but critically as well, and I think this is where government really understands the value too, that's created so many jobs and a sense that there is more that Scotland can do to build an infrastructure around creative industries that is going to be part of our economy as much as it's going to be part of our culture.